Hi, I'm Matt Fullbrook. It's April 2026, and this is a special episode of Sound Up Governance, cross-posted on 1 Minute Governance. This is also the first ever video episode, so please check that out at groundupgovernance.com and maybe on Spotify if I can figure it out. And the video part isn't just for fun. I actually really want to show you something. It's a super early visual sneak peek at my upcoming book with Nate Schmold, tentatively titled The Hidden World of Boardrooms. And trust me, you kind of need to see it to believe it. More on that in a sec. The second reason for this episode is that I have some super fun events coming up, and there'll be a really good opportunity for you to get engaged in some of the fun things we've been thinking about and working on, including the cool ideas in the book. So, if you find what you see and hear in this episode exciting, consider spending some time with me at Bond University in Brisbane on May 12th to 13th, at the University of Toronto on June 10th to 11th, and in Huntington Beach, California on June 15th to 16th. More info on those tour dates, including links, in the post for this episode at groundupgovernance.com. Anyway, let me tell you and show you a bit more about what we're up to. If you're even a casual follower of my work over the past 5-ish years through the 1 Minute Governance podcast on stages, in classrooms, and here on the Ground Up Governance platform, then you might have noticed, even unconsciously, a bit of a theme, or at least a trend. My doubt is increasing. At this point, you might even say that doubt is my differentiator in the corporate governance space. And if I were a bit more corny or nauseating, you might say it's my brand. Don't get me wrong. There are lots of people who project doubt in the corporate governance world, but it's usually a bit performative, kind of like doubt theater. I'm being rude, but I really mean it. Check it out. Try scrolling through LinkedIn for posts where people express some kind of board-related opinion, and then look at the comments. I can all but guarantee that someone will be there saying something like, "The real problem is that boards focus too much on compliance or process or policies or whatever, and not enough on strategy or relationships or value creation or whatever." Seriously, I just looked at my feed right before sitting down here, and every single governance-related post has comments like that. It's a version of doubt, as in people doubt the utility of the status quo and think things could be better. I mean, I agree. Of course, we should definitely doubt any suggestion that good governance and compliance are the same, for example. But that's hardly an original or helpful contribution. A more important line of thinking, in my opinion, is that we've been saying these same things forever. It's not helping, and yet we just keep on saying them as if we don't already know. Yes, boards should and want to do a better job at the strategy and relational and value creation stuff. We know. So why don't we just do it? Well, now we have a mystery worth exploring. It's like meta-doubt. We seem to have been doubting the wrong thing, so maybe we should doubt our doubt. This mindset has kind of snowballed for me over the past couple of years, and that's why I have podcast episodes like, "Why do corporate governance consultants mostly suck?" and "Board evaluations don't work, but they could." And I guess it's why I keep repeating my definitions of corporate governance and good governance, because I'm convinced most of us don't have any clarity what we mean when we use those terms. And honestly, that's probably why we keep repeating things like boards need to focus less on operations and processes and compliance and more on strategy and boardroom culture, etc. And also why it never works. Advice like that can only work if we can get super specific about the why, as in, why do we even care? What are policies, processes, and compliance for in the first place? And how do we know if they're working? What's the point of having an effective boardroom culture? What really, specifically, is the difference between an excellent board and an awful one? There are literally tens of thousands of academic papers on these topics. And in fact, if you're listening or watching, you might have even written one or more of those papers. And a lot of those papers claim to have found some decisive evidence of what makes boards great. For each of those papers, there's at least one that disagrees. I mean, it's fair to say that we have absolutely no conclusive evidence in any direction about what a great board does or doesn't do, whether it's about process or compliance or culture or structure or composition or anything. But despite this lack of evidence, most boards do most things mostly the same. except at the weird extremes, any variance I see among boards in general is basically cosmetic. We have conditioned boards and executives so thoroughly to embrace a set of norms, and they really have embraced them completely and enthusiastically and without any evidence that they should. Which brings me to our book, The Hidden World of Boardrooms, Revealing the Secrets of Good Corporate Governance, which is precisely half about sowing doubt. The first half of each chapter, we take a widely embraced norm in the governance world and reveal that it's not all it's cracked up to be. For instance, it's true that we probably overdo it when it comes to compliance and process and policies. And it's also true that we don't have a clue what it means to have a good approach to boardroom culture and relations. So just saying that we need to focus on that is probably not helpful, and will provide lots of science and practical examples to illustrate what we mean. And then there's the other half of the chapter where we propose a new version of what could be, as in what evidence does exist out there from both the literature on corporate governance and from other disciplines. How can we lean on science and practice to inform possible new approaches to the work of boards that ease pain and optimize culture and improve decisions and relieve the burden of processes, or whatever other objective you might be trying to accomplish? So those are the two halves of the book, or at least that's what you might think at first glance. Yes, The Hidden World of Boardrooms is about revealing the misconceptions behind the way things are and then unlocking the potential value of what could be. That's one hidden element, but the book will also be completely filled with literal hidden content printed in invisible ink. Seriously. If you're watching this video, you're seeing exactly what I'm talking about. And this is just a prototype at this point, but we've already found partners that are able to print and manufacture this book affordably, and honestly, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. We'll have hidden illustrations and notes and emphasis, almost like having director commentary on a movie or something, except it looks like magic. We'll even have some guest perspectives reacting to some of our thoughts and work, and we'll have cool ideas about how to translate all this concept into ebook and audiobook formats. In fact, we're so excited about those ideas that we suspect some of you may want to experience the book in all three formats. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. Yes, this is a strange project, and it's far from complete. It's strange enough, in fact, that we got rejected by a lot of publishers, even when they loved the concept. It's true, for example, that you'll need a UV light to get the full experience of the book. And it's true that we're taking a decisively countercultural stance. It's true that we'll be directly and openly disagreeing with lots of people's work and beliefs, maybe even yours. And it's true that this will be a book with a humorous and irreverent tone, and we think you're going to love it anyway. So, when will it be available? Probably this year. We've never self-published a book before and have no idea how many obstacles we might face, especially considering we're kind of creating two books in one, the visible one and the invisible one. Why are we telling you about this now? Honestly, it's just because Nate and I are super freaking excited. Once we got the print samples in our hands, it was clear that this is going to be beautiful. We literally got a sense of delight or wonder or whatever from seeing them. And we really believe in our message too. We think this book will finally give words to some of the frustration a lot of us feel in this space, and also provide some clarity about what we might do differently instead. If you're excited about this and wondering what you can do to stay posted or help out, here are some ideas. Share this podcast with someone who might like it. Subscribe to Ground Up Governance at groundupgovernance.com, and or sign up for my newsletter at mattfullbrook.com to stay in the loop. Send us a note or leave a review with a heart emoji or whatever other signal you prefer that just lets us know you care. Shoot me a note through the contact form at mattfullbrook.com to say hi. And if you're really, really excited, the post for this episode at groundupgovernance.com has info about those events in Brisbane and Toronto and California. So sign up and spend some time with me. And heck, if you're the biggest keener in the world, you can reach out and see if I can come and hang out at your class or conference or boardroom, or whatever else you like. We might eventually open pre-sales for the book when it's closer to the release date, but that's still a ways away. When the time comes, honestly, pre-orders would be most welcome. For now, I hope this seems at least a little fun and maybe piques your curiosity or excitement a bit. And when we're closer to publication, we also have some ideas for a more regular flow of content at Ground Up Governance and 1 Minute Governance. So those will finally come out of hibernation. Thanks so much for listening or watching. We really appreciate you and can't wait to share more updates as soon as we can. This is going to be so much fun. That's all for now.